I'm Rebecca Reitenbach with the National Union of the Homeless, Put People First PA, and the Nonviolent Medicaid Army. We are here for the National Day of Action of the Nonviolent Medicaid Army outside of the closed Berwick Hospital to illustrate the connection that hospital closures equal death, Medicaid cuts equal death, and we won't be silent anymore. Today, September 6th, 2025, we are taking action together as the National Nonviolent Medicaid Army in more than 12 states across the South, Midwest, Appalachia, and Northeast to declare that Medicaid cuts equal policy murder. We are exposing the violence of ongoing attacks on healthcare, the harm caused to our communities, and how we're coming together for support, survival, and strategy. Healthcare is a human right. This crisis did not start with this administration. 1/3 of our people don't have a primary doctor. Nearly half of us delay or don't get care because of costs. Our working and housing conditions, the industrial food we eat, and the contamination of our air and water are making us sick. Further Medicaid cuts will result in hospital closures, impacting both rural, suburban, and urban communities, while healthcare companies put profit before people's lives. Millions more are losing their health care, and hundreds of hospitals are on the chopping block. This is a national emergency in the richest country in the history of the world. People on Medicaid are not the cause of skyrocketing healthcare costs. Those who are making millions, billions off of our sickness are the cause. Claiming that some of us deserve health care and others do not is an attempt to gaslight the American people. But we are not fooled. We know and see the truth. We all have a body. We were all made in the image of God, and we all deserve care. There is more than enough for everyone to have health care in this nation. Today, September 6th, we honor the birthday and lifelong work of Detroit labor leader and movement ancestor, General Jordan Bacon Jr., who taught us to make thinkers out of fighters and fighters out of thinkers by continuing his work. We are building power and uniting across all lines of division, getting into step and asserting our political independence. We won't be silent anymore. Who are we?
The Medicaid Army!
Who are we?
The Medicaid Army!
Who are we?
The Medicaid Army!
Next, I'm going to introduce Jacob Butterly. Jacob Butterly is a minister with the Freedom Church of the Poor. We appreciate having them here with us to open us in prayer.
My name's Jacob. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a leader in Put People First in the Nonviolent Medicaid Army. I'm a minister with the Freedom Church of the Poor, like Becca said. If there is a God, God is a God of justice, and God is concerned with the plight of the poor. The stories and the narratives of the Bible are a story of poor people's movements and poor people's struggles to enact God's justice. That's the reason why we lift up prayer. But I think King also says this. He says the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. So no matter what your conception of God or divinity or the arc of the universe, it is on our side, actually, for us to have victory in the end. So this prayer is put together by Reverend Neal, a key leader and a better preacher than I am in Georgia. So. Creator of all life, source of justice, mercy, and peace, we gather in spirit and in purpose, standing shoulder to shoulder from many traditions, many states, and many walks of life, united in one sacred calling to defend the dignity and the right to health for all people. From the prophets of old to the peacemakers of today, your truth has been clear that care for the sick is holy, that lifting the poor is righteous, and that justice delayed is justice denied. We remember the words of the Hebrew prophets, woe to those who enact unjust decrees, Isaiah. We hold close the teachings of Jesus. Whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me. We hear the wisdom of the Quran. Whoever saves one life, it is as if they have saved all of humankind. We embrace the Buddhist call to compassion, the Sikh principle of seva, selfless service, and the indigenous teaching that the health of one is bound to the health of all. Holy One, you have called us to be a new and unsettling force, to speak truth where there is denial, to make visible the struggles too long ignored, and to connect the dots between Medicaid cuts, hospital closures, and the war on the poor at home and abroad. Bless every leader and every worker, every marcher and every organizer, every person holding a sign, making a call, or telling their story of loss and hope. Give us courage without bitterness, strength without hardness, and love without limits. May our actions ring like a bell of truth in the halls of power and the streets of our communities. May we remember that our political independence is rooted in our moral interdependence. And may we never lose sight of the truth we carry, that Medicaid cuts are not just numbers, they are lives. Who are we? The Medicaid Army. And by your grace, we will march until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Amen, Ashe, Salam, Shalom, and so it is.
So up next, we're going to have our very first speaker. Jackie is a local nurse, and she's going to be making the connection between hospital closures and this death dealing system. Thank you, Jackie, for uplifting this very important plight that particularly affects our people here in Berwick since this hospital closed 2 years ago.
My name is Jackie. I'm a member of Put People First, PA, the Nonviolent Medicaid Army, and have been a registered nurse in Pennsylvania for almost 16 years. We are a politically independent organization of everyday people. Some of us are healthcare workers. All of us need healthcare. 26 hospitals closed in Pennsylvania in the last 5 years. Berwick Hospital was one of those 26. Many of these hospitals were in communities like Berwick, rural areas where more than 20% of the people rely on Medicaid. Some of them were also in urban and suburban areas. However, in those communities as well, more than 20% of folks relied on Medicaid. These hospital closures have been taking place across the country, not just here in Pennsylvania. We at Put People First and the Nonviolent Medicaid Army see a pattern across the board. Regardless of geographical location, Democrats and Republicans support Wall Street across the board. But with their actions or inactions, they are telling the poor of this country that they do not need these hospitals anymore, because hospitals for the poor are not profitable for Wall Street. Yes, under the current system, healthcare costs are hemorrhaging, but we know it would be more cost-effective to have Medicaid for all PA residents than continuing on with the way things are, with healthcare corporations such as CHS making huge profits and then shutting down, leaving communities without a hospital, or with health insurance companies like United Health making millions off our backs while denying our claims to cover necessary healthcare services. Even hospitals must redesign the way they deliver healthcare because of insurance companies refusing to pay for necessary testings, such as MRIs. The two political parties of Wall Street are more concerned with gaining more wealth while spreading propaganda that keeps people divided, has people blaming their neighbors, and relentlessly shames individuals for not being productive enough, than it is about the health and well-being of the population. Keeping half of the people focused on blaming the immigrant and the poor is the name of this game, and it's been played many times throughout history. The immigrant and the poor are not the problem. Focusing our attention on the immigrant and the poor helps us to forget about all the people going without a basic human need for healthcare, our human right to healthcare in the wealthiest country in the world. For as much as I pay to live and work in this system, I should have Medicaid, and so should you. Rather than being focused on taking something away from the population, we need to be focused on how we, the people, are being taken advantage of, how our communities' hospitals are being shut down, yet our population health continues to decline. We all deserve health care, and our country can afford it. We're urban, we're rural, we're working class. When we get organized, the system won't last. We are asking that everyday people on or unfairly excluded from Medicaid to join us in fighting for Medicaid for all. Save our hospitals, save our health care, help to heal each other, and lead our communities to wellness. Thank you.
Singing is a kind of solidarity, you know? I think everybody is here because they understand there's something fundamentally broken, something fundamentally wrong about the way that the world is working. It doesn't work for us, and that means we need to be heard, and we need to be united. Singing is one of the simplest ways for you to lift your voice together with other people. If you can't sing with folks, if you can't find the courage to lift out your voice when you sing, you're going to really have to work on that if you want to do the much harder things that lie ahead of us in this. All right? And singing is beautiful. You have an innate human right to make noise, to sing, to be heard. The system wants to deprive you of it and strip it from you, and that's just not true. That's not right. So, we get sick.
We get sick.
They get rich.
They get rich.
Does not have to
Does not have to
be like this.
be like this.
There's enough
There's enough
for everyone.
for everyone.
There's enough
There's enough
for everyone.
for everyone.
Profiteers, you say you care. We know it's not true. Profiteers, you say you care. We know it's not true. Making money off our pain, it's what you're made to do. Making money off our pain, it's what you're made to do. We get sick,
We get sick.
they get rich.
They get rich.
Does not have to
Does not have to
be like this.
be like this.
There's enough
There's enough
for everyone.
for everyone.
There's enough
There's enough
for everyone.
for everyone.
Politicians, you say you care. We know it's a lie. Politicians say you care. We know it's a lie. We won't let you let our people die. We won't let you let our people die. We get sick,
We get sick.
they get rich.
They get rich.
Does not have to
Does not have to
be like this.
be like this.
There's enough
There's enough
for everyone.
for everyone.
There's enough
There's enough
for everyone.
for everyone.
Next, we're going to have Esther come up and speak. Esther has been organizing with us for longer than I have, and she is an incredible leader. It's my honor and my privilege to introduce somebody who is my best friend in the whole world. And yeah, she's going to talk about the Medicaid cuts and how they have affected folks in Berwick, across the state, and across the nation. Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, Becca. Good afternoon. I'm Esther with Put People First PA and the National Union of the Homeless. I've been with Put People First PA, fighting for health care as a human right for over 5 years. I joined the National Union of the Homeless because there's no health care without housing. When you do know where you're going to lay your head next, it's inevitable that you will get sick. Being homeless causes physical and mental trauma. But both Put People First and the National Union of the Homeless are all parts of the National Medicaid Army. Thank you for coming out and joining us in protecting and expanding Medicaid. I would like to start by giving you a few statistics. 3.1 million residents on Medicaid in Pennsylvania. That's 23%. 15% of these residents are right here in Columbia County. Here's the number that baffles me. 23.1% of Berwick is on Medicaid. What's being experienced here in Berwick is reflection of what folks across Pennsylvania are experiencing. Under Biden, in 2023, 25 million people were cut off from Medicaid.
Shame! Shame!
Now, under big, beautiful bill, signed into, for billionaires, you're right, Butterly, signed into office on July 4th of 2025, 11.8 million more people will be left without health care.
Shame.
Shame!
We know that health care is a human right. We know that politicians aren't out coming to save us, not Democrats or Republicans. We must protect our health care rights. We must expand our rights. Healthcare is a human right.
Fight! Fight! Fight!
Healthcare is a human right.
Fight! Fight! Fight!
Healthcare is a human right.
Fight! Fight! Fight!
Since 2023, we together have been organizing to fight the cuts of Medicaid, and we've been working to expand our coverage. We do this in several ways. For example, we tell our struggles through Medicaid Mondays. We have several actions to hold our officials accountable. We base build throughout our communities. We even hold in free people's clinics as projects of survival.
Woo! Yeah!
One of our most successful tactics has been helping folks with their Medicaid appeals. When we support each other, we are far more likely to win. Through our organizing, we had a success rate of 93% of the appeals we filed. We compared to less than 1% of folks who win when they go alone. Telling our stories of struggle is a way of people to be heard with roots all the way back to the struggle to end slavery. They got free by telling their stories, and so can we. Back in 2022, we came to Berwick to save this hospital. While here doing door knocking, Harrison, an amazing leader in this fight, and I came across an individual named Rick. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Rick was a veteran. He had Medicare, but he could not get to the doctors to get his needs met due to the not having a vehicle. While upon meeting Rick, he was such a blinded view of Medicaid. He would refer to us as used people. Sorry, guys. This is very heartwarming to me. Feeling race was getting more, he was feeling my race was getting more from the government than him, who fought for our freedom. We're not getting anywhere, getting more than he was, and I explained that. And I, too, served in the Army. After several meetings in person and over the phone, Rick was able to understand that used people was us people. And that was all desire health care, no matter what race. We all deserve it. Sad I have to report, we lost Rick. And I was saddened by this loss for several reasons. One, he taught me that with a little education, we could and should talk be taught to organize. 2, that loving our class is a must. Most important lesson, we all deserve health care. We must organize our class across all lines of division. Under Trump's big, beautiful bill for billionaires, 300,000 to 340,000 people in Pennsylvania are expected to lose their health care. This is a lot of people not getting their needs met in the long run. We deserve better from our government than to be forgotten and left to die like Rick. We should not have requirements of our health care. Anything they give us, they can take away. If we want to keep what's ours, we must organize. We only get
What we're organized to take.
We only get
What we're organized to take.
We only get
What we're organized to take.
Thank you, Papa. Here you go.
You know, there's a lot of mean things happening in our land right now. A lot of people out on the street, a lot of people hungry, a lot of people without the health care that they need to survive. And Jake is going to lead us in song again about exactly that thing.
I forgot to say, that first song that we sang is by one of my favorite people in the world, Zevi, who is a leader in Southeast PA and a really dear, sweet friend, one of the greatest musicians I know. And Zevi, you know, when you see this at some point, just, I love you a lot and I'm so grateful for you. This song is also by a real unsung hero in the movement. This guy, John Hancock's, who was a black, poor, southern tenant farmer in Alabama. Ooh, I'm bad at states. But John Hancock's was the people's troubadour. He was an organizer and song leader, songwriter, poet, visionary with the Southern Tenants Farmers Union, or the STFU, back in the 1920s and 30s, which was an organization made up of black and white Deep South sharecroppers. Most of the black sharecroppers had come out of, I think it's called the Gordianites. Basically, this like pro-black power movement that was, you know, militantly armed in response to the Klan. But they were like black separatists, you know, before black separatists were like real, and former Klansmen, white tenant farmers. And you know, what they were able to accomplish and do was very significant. And they were able to organize folks from these two real extremes because they were able to focus on what they had in common, which was suffering under these mean things. And so that's sort of the context that John put this song together. And, you know, it's obviously been updated, but y'all get the vibe.
But
up, we're going to hear from Laura from both Put People First and the Democratic Socialists of America. Laura wears two hats. She's an incredible organizer, and she's going to tell a story of how her daughter was impacted by the hospital closure here in Berwick.
This directly impacted my family a couple of years ago when it closed. My daughter, my oldest daughter, was pregnant. She's like 6 or 7 months pregnant, and she only lives right down the road. She lives down the road to Walnut and then 1 block over. So that's how close she was to this hospital before she moved. Well, 6, 7 months into her pregnancy, they just closed down. That's it. So she had to go to Danville. And if anybody who's been 6, 7, 8, 9 months pregnant knows driving that far is not fun. So it really made a big impact. I mean, plus she had a toddler. So that was extra time. That was extra money for gas. She had a big vehicle. And she's in the service. And I just found out, I didn't know, because she's in the National Guard, they're not eligible for TRICARE. The same benefits that, I didn't know that. Same. Yeah, they don't consider it the same. So it was a big deal. It really was. She had to go to new doctors, a new place she didn't know, and like you don't have enough on your mind when you're pregnant. And I don't know what the people in this area are going to do with the closed down hospital. I mean, it's the only hospital for miles and miles around. You have a heart attack, you have a stroke. Good luck. Somebody from Danville's got to come and get you. It's a mess. It's just a big mess. And we got to help clean it up, I guess.
That's right, Laura. It takes everyday people like you and me out here speaking our truth, sharing our stories so that everybody sits up and takes notice, right? There is a plight, an invisible war being waged in this land that people don't even know about. 800 people a day die of poverty. 800 people a day go through things like Laura's daughter did, but they don't make it. Up next, I'm going to have Taura come forward and speak. She's going to make the connection between the atrocities happening here at home and our wars overseas.
The PA poverty rate is 12%, 10.4% have no health insurance, 10.8% experience food insecurity. Current budget battles will see cuts to school funding, SEPTA cuts, which there's been a lot of working class people in Philadelphia showing how these SEPTA cuts are drastically and negatively affecting their lives. Library funding cuts, and we see hospitals closing, cuts and closures to homeless shelters and funding, and we're still waiting on the adult Medicaid dental benefits to be restored. Nationwide in 2024, over 771,000 were homeless. We see Gavin Newsom, who is presumed to be the next Democrat presidential candidate. He's clearing out homeless encampments. We had the mayor in Wilkes-Barre cleaning out Kirby Park homeless encampments. Shame. And the people they're clearing out, they have no beds and no shelter to provide for them. Like the Israeli occupation forces that are destroying homes and apartment buildings in Gaza, forcing Palestinians into tents, which they then bomb and burn people alive. Since 1946, $298 billion has been given to Israel. They have healthcare, they have free college, they have defense systems. While we struggle to make ends meet, we have our SNAP benefits reduced, 25 million kicked off of Medicaid, thanks Joe Biden, school shootings daily, and as Becca said, 800 people a day die in the US, the wealthiest empire ever, from poverty-related causes. In 2022, during the Russian-Ukraine conflict, PA passed Act 132, divesting public funds from Russia and Belarus. After October 7th, 2023, Stacey Garrity, this PA state treasurer, purchased $20 million in Israeli bonds to show commitment to standing with Israel, our ally and only democracy in the Middle East. Since October 7th, 247 journalists have been martyred, 79% of mosques destroyed, 4 churches destroyed, every hospital bombed. There was a fertility center that was completely destroyed, bakeries bombed, farmland destroyed, schools, universities, on and on. According to UN sources, over 1,151 healthcare workers have been martyred, 165 were doctors. The estimates of those killed the number they give is 65,000, but we know it's at least 500,000. When I wrote this last Sunday, 339 people had starved to death, 124 were kids, 1 in 10 are malnourished. Hind Rajab, was a 6-year-old girl, I have her on my pin here, was in a car with dead family members being encroached on by Israeli tanks. She called for help because it was dark and she was afraid. And they shot her car 355 times. And the Palestinian Red Crescent that was sent to rescue her were also bombed. Despite knowing all this, in this past June, Stacey Garrity again purchased another $25 million in Israeli bonds. They also want to pass PA Senate Bill 1260, which would ban boycotting or sanctioning apartheid Israel, would prohibit state employee retirement systems and the treasurer from divesting. The total spent from PA on Israeli bonds is $65 million. Every crime in Gaza is a war crime that is aided and abetted by the United States and their Western allies. Joe Biden didn't build back better. Donald Trump did not make America great again. But we know all too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. Those are words from Nelson Mandela.
You know, there's been a lot said about wasteful government spending, and I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that the biggest wasteful spending that the U.S. government does is spending it on war, spending it on killing people, instead of providing folks with health care, with what they need to survive.
Department of Defense, now Department of War.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Tara. Yes, it's never been more apparent than when the current administration chose to change the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. The mask is coming off, and I think that everybody can see that there are folks out there hurting, folks here in America, folks in Palestine. And, you know, when somebody is hurting our brother, we have to do something about it. When somebody's hurting our sister, our children, our parents, we have to stand up for what's right. I'm going to ask Jake to come up again and minister to us about that.
We made this beautiful banner in Southeast PA. We can't find it somewhere in someone's garage. When Al Shifa was under siege, it was simultaneous to that, or right prior to that, Hahnemann Hospital in Philadelphia, which had been one of the oldest hospitals in the city and served over 60% of its patients were Medicaid recipients, had been bought and sliced up, and Wall Street magic had been practiced to separate the hospital from the building it had occupied for over 100 years, and was sold off for a huge sum of money to then become luxury apartments. And so we put on this banner the prophetic words of Dr. King. The bombs dropped overseas explode at home. The brutal murder of our siblings overseas is inseparable from the brutal murder of us living here on this land. King calls this the cruel manipulation of the poor to wield our bodies, our dollars, in the destruction of our siblings on behalf of the ruling class and the ruling interests of this empire. And, like I said earlier, singing is a form of solidarity and a way to raise your voice and a way to be heard. Nothing's going to change if we can't be heard, and it's not to be preachery about it. It's not to be heard by the Donald Trumps and the Joe Bidens and the Gavin Newsoms and the what the hell is our governor? It's not Wolf anymore. Shapiro. Thank you. What a jackass. Because the Bible's pretty clear. When those people hear the words, it falls on their deaf ears and their hearts are hardened. The lamentations and the cries of the people that are suffering in the Bible over and over again, the people that hear that are the other people that are suffering and God. The God that wills things into action and urges the people to go out, urges the people to go join with those fleeing from empire that have taken their rightful inheritance as they stripped it down to the bare bones and left Egypt, stole all the wealth of Egypt back that they had created and left with everybody else who said, I don't have anything to lose and everything to gain by heading out of this place. So, all right. Yeah. Thanks. You're welcome. All right. So this is a great song by Yar Allen, one of the most badass people I've ever met. Yar wrote this song again out of a struggle of the color line is the line, one of the main lines, race and geography. Keep our class with our heads up our ass over and over again. And so this song came out of a community town hall in rural, I think, Kentucky. Because Duke Energy had been dumping coal ash into the river and the aquifer that this whole town, black and white, got its water out of. And, folks are coming together and raising hell together. And they were seeing, right, that they had a unity. They were united, in a deep, profound way. Deeper than any of the inherited history of bigotry that they had been given, by the dead weight of history. So I like to give people the context where these songs come out of, because they come out of struggle. All right. Somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on far too long. It's gone on far too long. It's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Now, I don't know if you hear, I need water and a little raspy, so you really cannot be silent on that last bit. You got to be loud. Your diaphragm is down here, so if you can find it. Somebody's hurting our brother, and it's gone on far too long. And it's gone on far too long. It's gone on far too long.
Somebody's hurting our brother, and it's gone on
far too long, and we won't be silent anymore. Sing about your sister. Somebody's hurting our sisters, and it's gone on far too long. Yeah, it's gone on far too long. I tell you, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting our sister, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Your siblings too. Somebody's hurting our siblings, and it's gone on far too long. Feel it. It's gone on far too long. It's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting our siblings, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Someone's poisoning our people. Somebody's poisoning our people, and it's gone on far too long. It's gone on far too long. It's gone on far too long. Somebody's poisoning our people, and it's gone on far too long. and we won't be silent anymore. Someone's bombing our people. Somebody's bombing our people, and it's gone on far too long. Hell, it's gone on far too long. I beg you, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's bombing our people, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's cutting our healthcare. Somebody's cutting our healthcare, and it's gone on far too long. Well, it's gone on far too long. It's gone on far too long. Somebody's cutting our healthcare, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore again. And we won't be silent anymore. One more. And we won't be silent anymore.
Next up, I'm going to invite Elle from the Sunrise Movement to come and speak. We greatly appreciate the clarity that they have around these issues, these crises that are facing us. And you can find them on Facebook. They're super awesome to get connected with.
Hey there, Al. I use they, them pronouns with the Sunrise Movement. I also work with the Columbia County Democrats, actually, and Action Together NEPA. I'm a member of Action Together NEPA. So there's like a lot of stuff going on. I heard over here that we are trying to ban boycotting Israel and send them money at the same time as our state's funding bill for education and public transit is 2 months late. We have students in grade school going to school right now with incomplete schedules. They are sitting around doing nothing. What? Shame. And we have public transit bills that are going to help people who cannot afford a car, people who cannot get to a freaking hospital. Why? Because we don't want to give the people what they deserve. We don't want to give the people what they earned. We don't want to give the people what they freaking voted for in Pennsylvania. Shame. And I have a story. I have a friend. She asked me to share this story here today. Her name is Jessica Jordan. She is on the Bloomsburg Town Council, actually, and she was out here helping a client a few days ago. She was bit by a dog. She is bleeding very badly. And guess what happens? Since she's out here in Berwick, she has to drive 20 plus minutes all the way to Bloomsburg while she's bleeding from her friggin' hand and having a panic attack because the blood won't stop. Do we like having to drive 25 minutes to go to a hospital because we got bit by a dog?
No!
I didn't think so. And so it astounds me how we can justify closing our hospitals when clearly people need it. Imagine someone who has a more severe injury trying to drive 25 minutes. How's that going to work out? It's not going to work out very well. And let's talk about the AI data centers, shall we? Of course, I'm here as part of the Sunrise Movement. It's an environmental activist organization primarily, but it also deals with like people's issues. And so how many of us think that AI is a necessity? What does it do for us? It doesn't come up with anything original. It's not solving problems. It's just compiling information for the sake of compiling information. It's creating images so that people who are skilled, people who went to school for the arts, are not creating those images. So people who have gone to school for graphic arts, paid thousands and thousands of dollars to get a degree, are out of freaking work because corporations decided, oh, we can just do this for free. We're just going to fund AI and we're going to do this all for free. And let's talk about those data centers, shall we? They suck up a ton of water in local areas. They make water scarcity a problem. And especially when these are being built out in farmland where we need water to grow our crops to feed our friggin' people. What's that going to do to our crop prices? That's going to raise it because it's going to get more expensive to water our crops. And then we're going to have it to be more expensive to buy food. And what else do they do? Oh, well, they're noisy as heck. So people in the neighboring areas. I've heard stories where people can't get freaking sleep because these AI data centers are so noisy. And back on the water topic, I've also heard stories where someone southern in the US, I forget which state, my apologies, but there's data centers out there, and she can't get tap water anymore because when she turns it on, it is brown and disgusting because these AI data centers consume an unfathomable amount of water. And what this is, right, from my perspective and from a lot of people's perspective, these AI data centers are just a way to keep us stupid. If you look at these ads for Google Gemini, they're like, oh, let's ask the stupidest question I can think of. Let's ask simple questions that I could ask someone. There's literally one where someone's in a museum and he asks Google Gemini about something in the museum instead of looking at the exhibit and learning about it. Like, yeah, Amazon is looking to build a data center up here, and they're talking about, oh, it's going to be great. Oh, it's going to create jobs for the area. But what you see, this is a system, it plays into environmental racism. How many of us know what environmental racism is? So, yeah, for those of us who don't know environmental racism, you have people in poor neighborhoods constantly being taken advantage of by corporations who come in, build pollutive factories with poor working conditions because they know that the people in the area cannot pay to have them get out of there. They don't have the economic power to say, no, we don't want you in our area. So they come in and they ruin people's lives. And that's what AI is, right? It's taking advantage of the people, getting rid of that skilled labor, creating labor that doesn't mean anything, pointless labor. And what it does is it contributes to climate change invariably. Climate change, which affects all of us unequally. Back to environmental racism, it affects people in poor neighborhoods way more than it does the rich. The rich know that, and they don't care because it doesn't affect them. So let's hold our polluters accountable, shall we? Can we hold the polluters accountable? Can we make polluters pay? And let's do this for the people. Come on.
Hi, I'm Lydia. I came up here to talk specifically about AI a little bit and then a little bit about healthcare. So the one thing that I wanted to say about AI is that AI isn't even profitable. AI doesn't make these companies any money. They're losing money because it costs them so much money to pay for all of this energy. So it's not even profitable. They're poisoning people's water for something that makes them no money. Sorry, just thought that you guys should all know that because that's a really big part of this, is that it doesn't make them any money, but they think maybe it will in the future when they figure out how to pay for all these new energy costs. And they would rather start poisoning people's waters now and ruining our land now instead of waiting until they could find a way for us to do this profitably. And obviously that's just a symptom of our society at large. And one more thing that I would like to talk about is there is a huge concern, like you were talking about, for AI and health insurance. And again, as somebody who worked as a pharmacy technician for about a year, and luckily got to leave pretty quickly after because unfortunately it is just not set up for success. I worked in something adjacent to like a CVS. It definitely wasn't CVS, but it was another big like multi-corporation, like a Rite Aid adjacent type store. And the worst part of my job every day was when a mom would come to me. She would drive up to the drive-thru, or she would come up to our window and she would say, "Hi, I'm here to pick up medicine for my son or daughter so-and-so. You know, I need to pick up their emergency inhaler. I need to pick up my daughter's EpiPen." And I always had to be the one to tell them, "I'm so sorry, but your insurance won't cover it. I hope your kid doesn't die." Do you know how, excuse me, I don't want to curse. Do you know how awful that is? And AI doesn't care. AI cares even less. Right now, they already have systems that automatically reject claims. So when your doctor sends a script to the pharmacy, we send it to your insurance company, and your insurance company usually says no because they don't want to pay for you to live.
Shame.
They don't want to pay for you to live. They don't want to pay for your kids to live. And they damn well want to pay even less by letting AI tell you that you can go die.
Shame, shame, shame.
My name is Rebecca Reitenbach, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm the coordinator of the Northeast PA Healthcare Rights Committee of Put People First PA. I also want to say a few words about the Amazon data center that they are building up the road. In fact, there are over a dozen AI data centers that are being planned in Northeast PA. Politicians are scrambling to change zoning ordinances to allow this to happen. Emergency town hall meetings are being held left and right as power holders attempt to steamroll over the will of the people. The state has infinite money to spend on AI readiness, but nothing to keep our hospitals open.
Governor Shapiro pledged 10 million of our tax dollars specifically to train workers for Amazon's data center here in Berwick. That money would have been enough to continue running Berwick Hospital for over 10 years. Instead, Amazon, the second largest employer in the world, doesn't have to pay to train its own employees. Big Daddy government is footing the bill for them. Both parties of Wall Street, Democrats and Republicans, are united in their desire to convert as much of our land and our workforce over to the service of AI as possible. They spout big, scary talking points about winning the war of AI supremacy without even being clear about who we're fighting against. What even is an AI data center? A traditional data center is just rows of CPUs and servers sitting in a warehouse. An AI data center also houses much more advanced devices called GPUs and TPUs, which are built to handle the larger volumes of unstructured data necessary for machine learning. They require significantly more power and advanced cooling systems. The extra power usage can be so intense that it causes blackouts for local communities. The cooling systems require vast amounts of water that is mixed with refrigerant, making it impossible to later be used for human needs. We here in Northeast PA are all too familiar with the false promises of big business that destroy our beautiful woodlands for their own profit. The natural gas industry, the lumber barons, and Big King Coal all promise to lift hardworking Pennsylvanians out of poverty. Each time in our history, it was a lie. Each time, the only reward for our hard work was ecological devastation. These bloated profiteers abandoned our communities the second there was no more money to be made, leaving us with polluted waterways, deforestation, black lung, and crushing poverty. Genesis 1:28 says that we are to be good stewards over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. The Hebrew word radah, which we translate as steward, literally means having the responsibility of ruling, managing, and having wise oversight over the natural world. It means we are to act as God Himself would when we cultivate His creation. This command is not one of exploitation, but of responsible care for the earth and all of its inhabitants. I cannot help but worry that our pursuit of the new technology of AI will lead us away from this sacred responsibility. I am not saying that new technology is evil. I think it can be a great blessing in our lives, and God has promised us great blessings. But we must not forget that we belong first to our Creator and have been entrusted with safeguarding His creation. In a few short years, after all these AI data centers are built, will we say it was worth the destruction of our natural landscape to further enrich the already unfathomably wealthy like Jeff Bezos? These data centers will steal hundreds of thousands of gallons from our water table. Will our local farmers say this was a quote-unquote economic windfall when their land cannot support the crops we need to survive? Funny how these politicians want to sell us lines about good jobs. They must think we were born yesterday. Make no mistake, AI does not create jobs. It is labor replacing technology. For every person who sits in an AI data center babysitting machines, thousands upon thousands of jobs are lost. AI is being trained to take jobs away from artists, writers, customer service, accountants, administrative assistants, cashiers, paralegals, reporters, the list goes on. There is not a single sector of labor that won't be affected by this technological revolution. Estimates vary, but there's coverage from experts that think that a transformative window of 10 to 30 years, that's what it's going to take for AI to reshape most jobs. A McKinsey report projects that by 2030, that's in 5 years, by 2030, 30% of U.S. jobs could be automated, with 60% significantly altered by AI tools. Goldman Sachs projects that up to 50% of jobs could be fully automated by 2045, driven by generative AI and robotics. These profiteers are salivating over the fact that they won't have to pay us anymore. Will we still say that we are, quote unquote, winning the AI war when more and more healthcare decisions are made by AI? I personally don't want to see a future where algorithms decide to deny healthcare, but that is already happening. 6 states are going to start using AI to reject Medicare claims. In January of 2026, this new program will begin rolling out in New Jersey, Ohio, Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, and Washington. The big tech companies who run it will be paid kickbacks for each rejected claim that their AI justifies. A 2023 Lancet study estimates that 25% of medical tasks could vanish by 2035. Diagnostic AI and robotic surgery are already advancing an effort by corporate greed to remove even doctors from our healthcare. At the personal care home where my kiddo worked at, they have started integrating AI to watch the residents while they sleep. This is happening right in our backyards, not in some far-off place. In 1967, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "We must rapidly begin the shift from a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. When machines and computers, profit motives, and property rights are considered more important than people, the giant triplets of racism, militarism, and materialism are incapable of being conquered." With the rise of labor-replacing technology like AI, his call to action is more urgent than ever before. We must acknowledge the personhood of each human being. The thought process of treating people as things, it comes from a false scarcity mindset, and that has got to go. We live in overwhelming abundance. We are on the cusp of an incredible technological revolution that is going to make it so that we don't have to toil endless hours of every day just to survive. That should be a cause for celebration, not for worry about how you're going to pay your bills, or certainly not the false shame of not working hard enough. We don't have a resource problem. We have a distribution problem. There are no deserving or undeserving poor people. We are all deserving of food, of housing, of healthcare, of all of our human rights, just by the virtue of being an alive person. In Matthew 25:40, Jesus calls for us to care for the least of these. If we are truly a Christian nation, we will heed his command and care for our poor as though they were Jesus himself.
Amen.